People are going to use a lot of electricity, like a lot.
Tesla founder Elon Musk joined PG&E CEO for a riveting reality check in order to power all the electric vehicles that will be coming down the road and the electric heaters and stoves that will replace natural gas. What will it take?
I would just say, whatever your demand predictions are for electricity, I suspect they are too low. We need a tripling of electrical output. So you can mark my words here, electrical output will triple.
So yeah, it's mind-boggling, and it's, we're at an innovation summit today, and today is about innovating with new R&D and new technology.
The challenge is how to upgrade electrical output at the lowest cost to society, but it's going to take billions of dollars for a utility that's already struggling financially with lawsuits.
We have to have a grid that is ready for the demand that electrification will bring.
Fortunately, we have the sun, which is throwing off absurd amounts of energy. And it's zero maintenance, and it just shows up every day. It's amazing.
Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. From Esther, just a few days later, and that fourth V4 supercharger, this one in Graz, Austria, is now open. Here's the setup. Personally, I would love to see more of these supercharger locations with canopies for the snow, rain, and elements. But this station does have the stalls with this screen, and people are still calling it a card reader. I wish somebody would upload a video of using this screen, but so far I haven't seen anything yet. This company, Circuit, surveyed 932 delivery drivers and 109 delivery dispatchers to figure out their strategies for going green. When asked about their preferred brand of EV, Tesla ranked number one for 51% of delivery drivers and 38% of dispatchers. Ford was second for dispatchers at 28%, and Nissan second for drivers at 19%. This article didn't share too much in the way of specifics other than mentioning that the drivers surveyed really were focusing on that last mile delivery. But no surprise for the folks actually driving the vehicles, over half of them preferred Tesla. A well-known casino and resort area in Connecticut has struck a deal with Tesla to avoid the direct sales ban in the state. The Mohegan Sun will be opening a state-of-the-art Tesla EV showroom set to open this fall. The sales and delivery center will be located in the shops at Mohegan Sun, and guests will be able to learn more about Tesla's solar and storage products. How are they pulling it off? Doing it on sovereign tribal land. When it's open, Connecticut residents and beyond can conveniently purchase and pick up their Tesla vehicles. Tesla will also collaborate with Mohegan to integrate local talent into its workforce and development programs. Here's a peek inside the shops at the Mohegan, and as you can see, pretty swanky. Test drives for popular Tesla models will also be possible around the resort, and Momentum dollars through Mohegan Sun's loyalty rewards program will be accepted for Tesla purchases. This is one I have to admit I am very excited to watch this unfold, for better or worse. A group of major automakers have announced they're forming a new company to provide EV charging in the US to challenge Tesla in a bid to take advantage of Biden administration subsidies. The companies included GM, Stellantis, Hyundai and its Kia affiliate, Honda, BMW, and Mercedes. Notable name left out, no Ford yet. This coalition will aim to become the leading provider of fast charging in North America, with a target of rolling out 30,000 chargers, starting along major highways and in cities. So yes, it's true, to some degree, this new company that's so far unnamed will be competing with Tesla. But again, zooming out for the EV movement, we need all of the public infrastructure charging we can get, so ultimately this will be a great thing for EV adoption. The group said they're open to additional investment or participation from other companies, including outside the auto industry. The good news, this new company will support both CCS and the Tesla standard, so yes, Tesla owners will be able to use this new network too if they want. The executives of the 7 auto brands said a charging network built out like gas stations with restrooms, food service, and retail operations would support a faster rollout of EVs. Naturally, these other automakers have been wary of Tesla's dominance, and we have Carlos Tavares, the CEO of Stellantis, saying, "We don't want those usages, these other companies' customers using Tesla superchargers, to be manipulated to the point where they would be a marketing tool in the hands of our competitors to conquest our customers." Mary Barra said this new venture won't change GM's existing commitments or collaborations. Ford, meanwhile, continues to invest in its own network, but declined to say if they they would be joining the new venture. It should be noted though, this new company is still subject to regulatory approval. The first of the United States chargers should be ready by next summer, 2024, and they didn't really give any detail on the cost other than saying it's a multi-billion-dollar investment. The network is expected to have 10 to 20 charging plugs per station, meaning there would be a minimum of 1,500 stations or a maximum of around 3,000. The 7 automakers said they would use renewable energy as much as possible to power the chargers, and these stations would have canopies and those amenities aforementioned. Ars Technica is one of the only publications covering this story that have mentioned Canada to follow at a later date. Most of you guys already know why this is going to be so interesting. Now we have 7 different companies that are all scrambling to find new software and hardware to use in its electric vehicles and now for its charging network in this new joint venture. And I'll say this, at the end of the day, it does not matter how many stations or plugs are available. What matters is how many stations and plugs are available that work reliably. The timeline for this 30,000 plug rollout is 2030. I will say this though, having these 7 companies essentially consolidate into one to roll out these charging stations will be a great thing for the end consumer if they can get it to work, rather than each of these 7 companies rolling out their own stations with their own hardware and their own software, and everything would just be so fragmented. More so than it already is. Kyle Vogt from Cruise just said, "We have something else that's been in the works for a few years that is highly disruptive to the already highly disruptive autonomous vehicle industry." So a bit of a cliffhanger there. Shifting to GM's numbers from Q2, only 2% of the vehicles sold last quarter were electric, about 16,000 in total. That number is just North America. But this is what I wanted to highlight. There are now a lot of different articles talking about operating profit and how all of the competition is closing the gap to Tesla, which yes, on the surface is true. However, we need to remember Tesla is posting these operating profits already making electric vehicles, which we know are right now more expensive to manufacture. The reality is most of these comparisons are really apples to oranges because most of the competition still gets a majority of their revenue and all of their profit from ICE vehicles. So as I talked about after the Q2 earnings, these numbers will always fluctuate up and down for all companies. In the long run, it means very little, but just wanted you to keep that in the back of your mind. Another Canadian iZEV record for June. In the month, Tesla delivered 4,096 Model 3s to Canadians during the month, which accounted for nearly a third of eligible ZEVs delivered. Through the first 6 months of this year, the rebate program has supported the purchase of 47.5 thousand ZEVs. The full year figure for 2022 was 57.5 thousand. Year to date, Tesla, Hyundai, and Chevy, the 1, 2, 3 leading the way for this iZEV program. VW is planning to invest $700 million in Xpeng to jointly develop EVs in China, where VW has seen declining sales. VW will eventually hold a 4.99% stake in the Chinese company via a capital increase and is getting an observer board seat. The Audi premium brand will deepen ties with SAIC to also bolster its EV lineup. With this deal, VW now has 4 carmaker partnerships in China. VW and Xpeng plan at least 2 new battery-powered models, with the first due to arrive on the market in 2026. And in your typical corporate speak, VW said in a statement, the vehicles are to be equipped with state-of-the-art software and hardware. This one really highlights the divergence between companies like Tesla aggressively pursuing vertical integration and a lot of these other companies just looking to form partnerships because they can't do anything on their own. VW has been working with companies in China for autonomous driving tech like Horizon Robotics, partnering with Thundersoft for software, and Goshen High Tech for batteries. Going back to those operating profit charts, Tesla has its entire autonomous stack, both the hardware and the software, in-house, which yes, costs more money up front, but in the long run will save them millions if not billions on costs and profit margins to other companies. Throughout this year, we also have to keep in mind the overall environment we're still in. In just the last 3 months, new vehicle interest rates rose from 4.5% in March to 7.2% in June. On the used side, the APR went from 8.1% to 11%. To show you the real world impact of that exact interest rate jump on a $48,000 loan, the 4.5% interest rate would be a monthly payment of about $895, or a total cost over the life of the loan of $61.9 thousand. The 7.2% rate takes that exact same loan to a monthly payment of $954, or a total cost of $65.6 thousand over the life of the loan. Who knows if anything will come of this, but at least we have some auto industry executives and lawmakers talking about the need for autonomous vehicle regulation here in the States to compete with China. The head of a major automotive trade group told a House panel Wednesday the US risks falling behind China if it doesn't move forward on a federal regulatory framework for autonomous vehicles. The CEO of the Alliance for Automotive Innovation said in a testimony, "In this time of massive transformation, companies cannot afford to endlessly allocate massive capital into the void of uncertainty." He said Congress has been bogged down on AVs and there's been little movement on federal rules for nearly a decade. One Republican representative said her goal is to pass AV legislation this year. But we have Missy Cummings now back into the picture, this time saying this: "Any claims China is getting ahead of us in the self-driving race, and it's our onerous federal regulations that are holding companies back from being successful, I mean, these are false and they're fear baiting." Then the executive director for the Center for Auto Safety said the China competitive threat is fiction and part of the AV misinformation campaign. I don't know. Would you guys agree? Either way, China risk aside, the sooner we can have some clarity on the regulatory environment for autonomous testing and eventual robotaxis, the better. Tesla vehicles are being barred from parts of a major Chinese city as it prepares for a visit by President Xi Jinping. The authorities told officials to block Tesla from some areas related to his visit. This of course stems from security concerns that Tesla vehicles can gather allotted video footage and that data with the cameras. But we don't need to make this a bigger deal than it really is. Carlos Tavares and Stellantis have said they still have no plans to lower prices on vehicles, and they're looking at slashing production costs, and they said more job cuts in the United States are possible. They've recently been accused of skimping on janitorial work. Tavares said Stellantis may need to further adapt its industrial footprint in Europe and the US. Basically, Stellantis is now applying the pressure to its supply base to try to get better deals on components, some of this pressure of course coming from the Chinese competition. Today, Porsche warned that supply chain problems were hampering BEV production, and they pointed to slower growth in Europe and China. They're facing major challenges in securing special parts like high voltage heaters. Oliver Bloom said there's no week where we have no supply chain issue. Porsche also said the recovery in the Chinese market was not progressing as expected, and that it foresaw a slowdown in the German market despite strong growth this year so far. In a new press release, Waymo has said due to the substantial commercial opportunity they're seeing on the ride-hailing front, we've made the decision to focus our efforts and investment on ride-hailing. So they'll push back the timeline on their commercial and operational efforts on trucking, as well as most of their technical development on that business unit. But they said they will continue their collaboration with Daimler Truck North America to create a redundant chassis to facilitate autonomous trucking. So Waymo is now laser focused on ride hailing. I have a lot going on today, so had to be a quick one for today, but you can find me on Twitter at DylanLoomis22. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.